Hello guys, welcome. Figured we could change up the music a little bit for the historic aviation airline series. Hopefully we don't get a copyright strike. But yeah, welcome guys. Didn't anticipate being able to get this stream out today, but some plans changed and we're able to. So thanks for joining me. I know it's super last minute. Water, welcome in. Fake pilot left me in Denver. Hey man, you flew Southwest. That was your choice, man. We'll pick you up from Denver and fly you back down to out to San Diego maybe on the next stream. Level Up has updated their 737 again, so maybe we'll jump in a 700 and fly you down to Lindbergh Field. Stephen Hayner, welcome. Marco Karate, what's up? What's up? Cat Gary, hello. Happy last day of the year. Yeah, welcome. And yeah, really digging the intro music. That was on a VHS tape I had as a kid of a P-40 Warbird checkout, and it's just been a piece of music that I've never been able to find, and I found that it's actually royalty free now. So I was able to grab it and play it for the stream. So here we are in a Northern Air Cargo DC-6A. And the crazy thing is, you know, whenever I fly up to Alaska, I see these things flying around. They're still flying DC-6s up in Alaska. I know Everett's flies a couple. Northern Air Cargo flies some. So you know, these are still working airplanes up there. I don't necessarily understand the economics of how it makes sense to operate a DC-6, you know, instead of like a C-130 or some other turboprop. But it's kind of cool, man. You go up to Alaska and you know, you see 747s, 737s, and then you see DC-6s, DC-3s, DC-4s. You know, still working for a living. So yeah, pretty neat. So we're going to use the GPS in this airplane today because the weather is bad and I don't want to run us into a mountain. But also just kind of simulating, you know, that these airplanes they're retrofitted with modern avionics and they're still flying up there. So I think we can kind of do a modern day DC-6 stream. So jumping in the cockpit, the first thing that we need to do is get the airplane all loaded up. So I've got the SimBrief flight plan. We are going to be on Iveo Premium today, so if you want to fly along, we're going from Kodiak, that's Papa Alpha Delta Quebec, to up to Anchorage. So that's the plan for us today. So first thing we got to do is we got to load it up. So we're going to go to the maintenance manager, or rather the fuel and load manager, and we need for block fuel. It says 5,000 gallons. Is that right? Oh no, this is pounds. So we need 5,000 pounds of fuel, which is not very much. So we're going to actually take 10,000 pounds. We're going to double that, tanker a little bit of fuel up to Anchorage, just because I don't want to run out at all. But that puts basically all the gas in our main tanks, and then we've also got, we can basically cube out the airplane then, and just carry as much stuff as we can. So Stephen Hayner, sorry you couldn't join, got different plans tonight. No worries, man. Hey, thanks you can join. I appreciate you guys joining. I know that I've been really lousy about, you know, pre-planning the streams, you know, a couple days out so that people can kind of plan around them. Unfortunately, my life situation just doesn't support that right now. So I know it's always kind of a last minute, hey, let's throw a stream together. So I just appreciate you guys joining when you can. So let's see. We're going to put the lower cargo hold, fill that up. So we got a full main cargo, full lower cargo, 10,000 pounds of fuel, which puts us at below gross weight. Okay, so that load works out well. So we're all good to go there. All right, we are going to use the flight engineer today, just because this airplane, you know, it's this kind of an airplane, you basically need the flight engineer. So we're gonna do that. Lower the workload on stream a little bit, and then if we don't crash into a mountain, then in future streams I may try and do it all by myself. So we got engine health is good on all 4 motors. Checking the maintenance logs on these old airplanes is important. So we're not going to repair anything. That was just my practice flight to make sure that I knew it was going on here. Props look good. We are going to top off the engine oil quantity. However, we're going to top off the water, top off the aux oil tank, and the anti-ice fluid. So that is all set there. Engine stress visualizer. The engine is not operating, so that all works good. We got the GPS fitted 1x sim rate and realistic engine damage, realistic start, realistic carb icing. That'll be a factor today. Circuit breakers and realistic autopilot. So everything is good to go. So we can give it a shot. So let's do a before start checklist here and get this thing going. Alright, so they've applied battery power, running all the electrical switches up. Alright, then we're going to check the circuit breakers.
Checked. Pressurization. Set. Manifold and duct pressure. Checked. Radios.
Okay.
Checked. Doors and hatches.
Closing up all the doors on this bad boy.
Closed. Door warning lights. Out. Gear pins. Removed. 3 on board. Seat belts and pedals. Adjusted. Throttles. Set to idle. Propellers. Forward and 3. Before start checks complete. Start engines.
Alright, before we start, we're going to put the route in here. So I've basically got direct ODK out of Kodiak, and then directly to TED. I've got a jet route in there, but we're not going to fly the jet route. We're just going to go direct. And there's no ATC up in this area yet, so we're just going to go directly to Anchorage. There we go. So ODK to TED. We're going to go directly to... no, we don't want that. We want to go flight plan, push cursor, direct to ODK, enter. And then we'll go out of flight plan mode. There we go. All right, that is all set. And then, sorry for the VATSIM jump scare. I feel like I kind of ruined my intro music there, but it's going to be 3157. 3157. All right, so there is that, and then let's see if we can get some lights going here. So we'll go cockpit floodlight. We'll get the white light going. There we go. Okay. So the first thing that we need to do is get these engines started, and we're going to start engine number 3. First, yeah, just control E. Here we go. All right, so first thing that we're going to do is we are going to get the oil dilution on for all 4 engines. And what this does is it takes avgas and dumps it into the oil to lower the viscosity of the oil. So we're going to run this for 1 minute. I've got a timer set. You want to be careful with oil dilution because you can actually dilute your oil too much to the point where it doesn't lubricate the engine like it's supposed to. So you do have to be careful with this, and a lot of modern radials have actually deactivated the oil dilution system. Because with modern engine oils, it's not quite as necessary. I do know, also talking to some folks who operated, C-46s and C-47s in Alaska like this, when the weather was this cold, they would actually preheat the oil. They would drain the oil out of the engines, heat it up in 55-gallon drums, and then pour it into the engines hot. Just so that you weren't trying to heat up oil that was below zero. So we're not going to do that today. There's 1 minute of oil dilution. We'll turn that off and just go from there. So boost pump is on low. That seems to work good. We've got the engine selector on 3. And the concept with these fuel-injected radials is you're going to turn them over with the starter for a fixed amount of blades, 9 blades in this case. And what you're doing is you're trying to get every single cylinder in the engine to go through a cycle to ensure that there's no oil in any of the cylinders. It'll cause a hydraulic lock, right? So liquid is incompressible. So if you have oil pooled in the cylinder, and then that cylinder tries to go through its compression stroke, since the oil is incompressible, it'll actually bend the rod in the engine, and that's really not a good thing. So the starters in these airplanes usually have some sort of clutch, where if the engine runs into hydraulic lock, it'll actually declutch from the starter. And so you want to run through an entire compression cycle on every piston in the engine, which, due to the gear ratios between the engine and the propeller, there's a certain amount of blades that's published, right? So like in my T6 we do 9 blades, and I believe in the DC-6 it's 9 blades as well. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to motor the engine 9 blades. Once it goes through 9 blades, then we're going to turn the mags on, engage the booster coil, and start priming the engine. And then the engine should start on the prime, and then once it's running on the primer, then we'll throw the mixture in and allow the engine to stabilize on the actual mixture. But you start these fuel-injected engines on the primer so that you don't flood them and cause an exhaust stack or an induction fire. So here we go. Let's give it a shot. So we got engine 3. We're on ground power. Here we go. Got the throttles cracked. There we go. And once we get them started, we're going to idle them right around 1,000 RPM. So here we go. Let's see how we do. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Mags on. Prime.
12.
All right, there it is. It's starting up. Get the mixture in. All right, it's up. And then check the RPM. Bump it up just a little bit. There we go. And verify oil pressure as well, which is good. Don't want it that high. Really want to keep it around 1,000 RPM or so as the engine warms up. Okay, so we got good oil pressure, good start on 3. I'm going to turn my sim sounds up just a little bit here. Okay. All right, now we'll try, we'll do 4. So start selector will go to 4, boost pump goes to high first. Verify fuel pressure. It is up, it is. Now go back down to low. All right, low is good. And start. 5, 6, 7, 8. Mags on and priming.
12.
There it goes. And up we go. Thought we had it. Alright, so we'll turn the mixture off. And the general procedure is if an engine doesn't start, then you just move on to the next one. So next one will be number 1. Turn that boost pump off, we'll go high. That's up, we'll go down to low. Okay, low looks good. We're on number 1. And try number 1.
Three, 6, 9,
Mags on.
12.
Get the mixture in. Okay. RPM's coming up. Oil pressure's coming up. Okay. There we go. Alright, the next one is going to be engine number 2. Go to high. Fuel pressure looks good. Back to low. Okay, it's coming down. Engine number 2. Here we go.
3, 6, 9, 12.
Did that in the wrong order, but that's fine. Pressure's up. Alright. RPM is coming up. Oil pressure is coming up. Looks like a good start. Now we can go back to engine number 4. Alright. Up to high. Looks good. Back down to low. Checks good again. And now, since we already spun this over for hydraulic lock, we don't have to count blades. We can just go right into the start. So there we go. Mags on
3,
and priming.
6, 9.
There it is. Alright, so we've got RPM is right around 1,000 across the board. Looks good. Oil temps are coming up. We don't want to do anything until the oil temps are up at 40 degrees. So you can see that number 3 is getting there, but the rest of them are working on it. Oil pressure is looking good. 3 is warmed up, so it's down low. The rest of them are pretty high. So we're good to go. All right, so now we can pull the fuel pumps back to off. All right, and we can have our flight engineer do the after takeoff or the after strike checks.
Start selective boost pumps. Off and off. Battery switch. Plane entry. Generators and inverters. Checked and on. Emergency lights. Armed. Ground power. Removed. After start checks complete.
Okay, we're going to set the pressurization to 13,000 feet, because that's the altitude that we're going up to. So that's 13,000 feet, so the cabin will be right around 3,000 feet. So that looks good. Now, just wait to warm these big radials up. So the critical thing that you're looking for really is the oil temperature down here. So got number 3 is coming up to 40. Number 1 is coming up. That looks good. And then number 2 and 4 are still pretty cold, which makes sense because we started them last. But the big thing is you don't want to. A lot of guys, especially with horizontally opposed engines today, they get in a hurry to taxi and or do their run up, and the reality is just that you can do a lot of damage to these engines by running them at high power settings before the engine oil warms up. So okay, the weather looks not great, so we are going to be taking off runway 8, which is out over the water. The METAR is supportive of that. METAR's call in 5 degrees, light rain and mist. Temp winds are 29 to 43 from 050. So it'll be a left crosswind for us on runway 8. And with the temperature at 5, we're gonna turn the heats on. Yeah, Airbus pilots complain when they can't auto start. It's pretty cool, man. I mean, I think there's something to these old engines. It's I don't know, just I like it. Okay, so we got 40 on everything, so we can taxi on the inboards, and then let the outboards warm up a little bit more. So, get the control lock released. Do a quick wipeout. Wipeout is good. Release the parking brake, and we'll bring the inboards up and taxi out. Taxi out across the runway here, take a right, we'll do our run up down here, and then use the full length of the runway to take off. So I'm leaving 1 and 4 at idle, so that we don't run those up, but 2 and 3 are warmed up, so I'm just using 2 and 3 to taxi right now. The PMDG DC-6 is kind of cool in that it simulates, let me make a radio call real quick. Kodiak traffic, Northern Air Cargo 1422 is crossing runway 8, Kodiak. It models the resonance zone in the engines. A lot of these radial prop combos have a RPM setting where you get a resonance, the whole airframe kind of starts to shake, and the DC-6 does, which goes a long way towards making it more realistic. Now, I've never flown a DC-6. The largest radial I've flown is a T-28B, which has a Curtiss-Wright 1820, but I'm going to apply some of the procedures from the 1820 to the DC-6 just because I would assume that they're very similar. And one of them is when you're not moving, you want the engines up at 1,000 to 1,200 RPM for cooling, because the engines rely on the prop blast through the cowl for engine cooling. So there you go. Cowl shake there. Anchorage is showing VFR, so we should, once we get out of Kodiak, things should get better for us. Set the parking brake, and let's take a look at our instruments. iFly Max sucks. Water, what happened? Okay, so I've got the engines up around 1,200 RPM to keep them cool while they're idling. Cylinder head temps are all looking good. Water pressure we shouldn't need for this takeoff. We'll check our gross weight here in a second, but I don't believe that we're going to need water for this. Flaps are up for now. The carb air, that all looks good, so we shouldn't pick up carb ice. Oil temps are all looking good for the run-up. Oil pressures are low, but that's fine because we're at idle. And the fuel pressures are looking good as well. So we can go ahead and do the run-up. Now this run-up is, it's from the tutorials, but the flight engineer will not do it for you. So we have to manually do the run-up. So here we go. The parking brake is set. And we're going to run all the engines up to 1,600 RPM. you can see the vibration with those resonant frequencies. And that smooths out. The other thing that's cool is that my throttles are not all matched on the Bravo. They're all kind of all over the place. So to get 1600 RPM, the throttles are not just in a straight line. They're kind of all slightly different. So, okay, there's 1600 RPM. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to cycle the propellers. And the DC-6 uses a master prop control here. So there's not 4 prop levers like there are in some other airplanes. So we're going to pull this back and let them come down to 1250 RPM. And then back up. We're going to do this twice just to get some warm oil up in the prop hub. Okay, the blue lights say that they're governing to the low limit. So they're coming down to about 1400 or so. That's all right. Put them back up. They are good. Now we're going to put the props to manual control. Okay. And we're going to go full decrease RPM. Put it in manual. We'll go down to decrease. We should get a decrease across the board on all the RPMs. Should be. Not sure why they're not governing. Let's try this again here. We'll pull it back all the way. Yeah, pull it down. Prop control manual. Gotta get around this reverse bar here. That switch should be in the center, which it is. Alright, and there it goes. Alright, so now 1's governing up, 2's governing up, 3's governing up, and 4 is governing up. Alright, so they're full increase. Now we'll go full decrease. Go automatic to number 2. Put them there. Then they go back to the prop lever. Go forward to 1600 RPM. They should pick up. Okay, alright, now we're going to do the feathering test. Alright, so at 1600 we're going to check the feathering pumps. So we'll push these in, the feathering button. Make sure that we get a, you would check a load on the voltmeter, but I haven't been able to get that to work, so I don't know if that's a DC-6 ism or if it's just not modeled. But and then we're going to look for a drop in RPM here, and then we'll pull the button back out. So number 1's coming first. All right, so there would be a load and a drop. Pull it out, let it stabilize. Engine number 2. All right, there's a load and a drop. Pull it back out. Number 3, load and drop, pull it back out, and number 4, once 3 stabilizes, there it is, there's a load and drop, reset it, and it is back up. Alright, now we're going to do a prop sync check, so we're going to have 25 inches of manifold pressure. That should give us about 2000 RPM, 2050, something like that. So there's 2000, 2050. That all looks good. Now we're going to go down to auto 3. Alright, now we're going to decrease the RPM by about 100. Going to resynchronize the props. Now it's on 3. And now we're going to pull number 3 to idle and make sure that the rest of them don't change. Alright, which they don't. Smoothly back up. Alright. That's good. Now we're going to go back to number 2. Resynchronize the props on 2. And then pull number 2 engine to idle. Make sure that the props don't, that the other engines don't come back with it. Alright, very good. Push it back up, 25 inches. Okay, that's good. Now we're going to put it back to auto sync on 3, which is the normal flight setting. Alright, and now we're going to pull master prop lever full forward. We get 4 lights and the throttles can come back to idle. Now we can do the propeller reverse safety checks. Alright. Water, welcome in. Put your arrival in. Now you can't change the waypoint altitudes before the arrival. It says there are altitude constraints. Yeah, you got to make sure that your waypoint altitudes are higher than the ones in the star. Check that. Zippy, welcome in. Didn't get a notification. Yeah, dude, it was a last minute thing, but thanks for joining us. Alright, so now for the propeller reverse safety check, we're going to go put the prop bar in reverse, add some power. We get 4 orange reverse lights. Okay, we can go up to 25 inches. Okay. Now we're going to come back to idle. The reverse bar should automatically reset. Okay, and now go into forward thrust up to 25 inches. Make sure that you don't have a prop locked up in reverse. Which looks good. Alright, now we're going to do a mag check. So up to 30 inches on all the engines. Get 3 up. Alright. 2150 RPM or so. It's a little high, that's fine, just because the environmentals. Alright, we'll do 1 and 3 first. So 1 and 3 are going to go to the left. We come down and see that we have a little drop on 1 and 3. That's good. Now we'll go back to both. Alright, they're back up. Now we'll go to right. A little bit of drop, still running smooth. And back. And they look good. Now we'll do number 2 and 4, left mag. Okay, so we have a drop on 2 and 4, back to both. Alright, they're good. Back to the right mag on 2 and 4. Okay, they look good. Engine's running smooth, back to both. And they are, the mags are good. Alright, now we'll do a water injection check. And we'll just make sure that the pumps turn on. So if we turn on the water injection pumps, we should have water pressure across the board, which we do. Turn the water injection pumps back off. Okay. And throttles come down to idle. The last check we need to do is going to be the auto feather test. So the engines are still running at idle, so this one's another one we're going to do at 30 inches. So, come up. This gives you a good idea why a flight engineer was such a critical job on these old airliners, because you know this was the domain of the flight engineer, was keeping these R2800s happy. Okay, Engines are stabilized. Now we'll turn the auto feather system on. And now we'll check number 1. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull the number 1 engine back, back to idle, and the auto feather should come on. Then we're going to reset it, reset the system. So we're pull the auto feather back. All right, there it goes. There we go. All right, reset that, push it back up. All right, now I'll turn that off, reset the system, back on, number 2. Bring number 2 back, it auto feathers, reset. Okay. Push number 2 back up. Okay. Checking number 3, auto feather on, off for 2, on for 3. Number 3 comes back. Auto feather. Alright, reset it. Reset the system. Number 3 comes off. 4 comes on. Number 3 comes back up to 30 inches. And number 4. 4 comes to idle. Good auto feather. Reset. Reset the system. Turn the check off. Alright. There we go. And that is the run-up. Now we can pull back to idle. Right around 1,000 RPM. Alright, so there's about 1,000 on 2 and 4. There we go. It's kind of interesting that the number 1 throttle on my Bravo seems to be a lot more sensitive than the others. Okay, jumping in the rest of the flight engineer's position here, we'll take a look at the engine instruments. Everything looks good. Cylinder heads are all in the green. Oil temp and carb air temps are all good. Oil pressure's fine. Okay, so we'll get the flight engineer to run the before takeoff check.
Boost pumps on low.
Zippy, gonna fly pretty close on the long haul. Oh, what are you doing long haul in?
Main tanks and crossfeed off.
Triple 7, nice. Did Shitos from LAX.
Off and cold.
Oh man.
Hydraulic system.
Vodka, welcome man.
Down, forward, pressure, quantity checked. Okay.
Yeah, Vodka, it was a last minute stream, man, and so I threw it in the Discord, but you would be forgiven for missing it. Okay, so our load today, gross weight is 91.7.
Controls.
So,
Gust lock released.
91.7, call that 92, so V1 is going to be 94 knots. V2 will be 108.
Bridge unlocked. Set. Transponder.
Okay, 108 knots, rotation in V2.
Landing lights.
94 and 108. And we're gonna do a wet takeoff because
before takeoff checks
the runway is a little short. So parking brakes off, and we're gonna taxi into position. Kodiak traffic, Northern Air Cargo 1422, taking off runway 8, departure to the northeast. All right. actually going to back taxi here just because there's nothing more useless than runway behind you. Doors and hatches are all closed. Put the engine stress visualizer up. Check the carb heat temps again. Yeah. Let's get a little bit of heat on these. I don't want to ice up. Die. Up a bit. And this will be a standing takeoff. So we're going to do an engine run up. The engineer is going to run the engines up, and then at 42 inches, we're going to release the brakes.
Water injection. On. 30 inches stabilize. 30 inches stabilize.
Number one.
Cal flaps set.
Let's see. Abort here for a second. What happened? Oh. All right. The number one got feathered somehow. All right. So we're gonna start number one.
3, 6, 9, 12.
There it goes. Get the feather button out. Did I leave an auto feather switch on? I think I did. There you go. And try it again.
3, 6, 9,
That's
12.
come on, start. There we go. Alright, we got number one going again. And auto feather is good. Alright, turn that off. Alright, check all the gauges. Everything looks good. Alright, here we go.
Water injection. On. 30 inches stabilize. 30 inches stabilize.
Hold the brakes. Yeah, Vodka. This was an auto feather issue. This was not a bug in the software. All right, here we go. Flight controls check good.
30 inches stabilized.
30 inches are set.
Cal flaps set. Full power, please. Going full power.
Alright, at 42, we'll release the brakes. Look for water pumps to come on. Alright, brake release. Takeoff power, good injection pumps.
Full power set.
A lot of left crosswind. We got a lot of aileron into the wind, a lot of right rudder. Alright, there's 108. Here comes the rotation. down, accelerate. We want 165 for our climb speed. Alright, we grab the gear, get the gear up. Alright, start climbing away at 165.
Gear up, lights up, flaps up. Flaps going up.
There's 165. 080 heading.
Meter power. Setting meter power 48 inches, 2600 RPM.
Yeah, it's a lot of manifold pressure, Gus.
Meter power set. Climb power. Setting climb power.
We're climbing quick. This is hard IMC on the instruments here. We're gonna put all the anti-ice on here. And the props as well.
Climb power set. And the takeoff checklist, please.
Still looking for that 165.
After takeoff checks complete.
Alright, and let's see. Looks like our course 067. So we'll start a left-hand turn here. T6 is 36 inches for takeoff. Vodka. 36 for takeoff, and then 30 inches, 2,000 RPM for climb power. 067. Level out here. A little slow on our climb speed. Alright, this is super high workload, so we're going to get the gyro pilot going. Gyro pilot. Autopilot on. Localizer. This should be set to GPS. Go direct to Anchorage. Go direct to Anchorage. That's where we're going. Our actual IMC climbing out here. Airspeed looks good. It's a little bit of a right-hand bank coming back to the course. Coming back to center it. A little bit nose down. How's this for working for a living, huh? Alright, so there's our course. Looks like we're doing good. And we're climbing up to 13,000 feet. Now we can take a second and breathe a little bit. The other interesting thing about the DC-6 is a lot of the anti-ice and heat systems are run off avgas. So if you're running the heats, you have to take that into account with your fuel burn. So, all right, looks like we're tracking the course fairly well. And there's 165. See how the engine stress is looking. Looking pretty good. Oil temp's just a little warm. Looking good. Alright, sorry guys. This is a real tough airplane to keep up with chat, but I think we're good. So let me see if I can catch up a little bit here on the chat. Oh, Zippy, yeah. Flying the triple in Atlas colors. That's cool. We need to do a 777 stream. I need to pick it up for sure. Vodka sober. Did you run out? Why? It's well into drinking hour, my friend, especially where you're at. Yeah, so that engine shutdown was that was an issue with auto feather, with the auto feather. So, which we can turn off now, by the way. Yeah, 58 inches. It's kind of crazy how much boost the old engines would run, and I also don't know if that's limited by 100 octane fuel, because I know that, you know, they were running back in the day. They were running like 100, 130, much higher on the octane, so they could actually get higher manifold pressure out of these things without the risk of detonation. So I don't know if that's a concern here, or if that's what they actually ran them at during wartime and back when they were running on the fuel sources that they were designed for. Yeah, of course, a cup holder and tray table. Man, there ain't no time for a cup holder and tray table in this thing, man. This is a working man's airplane. The funny thing about this is, you know, you fly something like this, and then suddenly all the people who bitch about having to manually pair generators in a 7.3, it's like, you have no idea where you came from. Oh, gotcha, that didn't work. Yeah, I gotta try the triple. I've not bought it yet, so. All right, let's take a look at the free air temperature. We are actual IMC, so this is not necessarily a problem, but something we need to keep an eye on. So the free air is about -5. The carbs are looking good. I'm gonna give just a little bit more heat, just because I don't want to ice up a carburetor and some motor. So looking to keep those right in the green. Everything else is looking good. Shield heat, that's fine. Here, that's on the normal system. And that's all fine. Back to the mission elements. And prop, I don't think we need de-ice around the carbs because we're keeping the temperature pretty good. So just we can prop. Okay. And we're still looking good in our navigation. It'd be nice to break out of here so we can just kind of look out the window and not have to worry about keeping the wings level here. Gus G90, even though it's not 115, the flight factor is eons ahead of me. Really, dude, I'm not saying you're wrong. I just have such a hard time believing that. Hey, look at that. Look at that. We're going up to 13,000 feet, so we got about half our climb to go here. PMDG, this is from Paper Modern Airliner, Stephen Hayner. Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely more modern than the 7.3 as far as the modeling techniques and stuff they put into it, so I believe it. Yeah, once Bluebird drops her 7.5, I'm really hopeful for the Bluebird 7.5. Steve, I told you about the last time I flew the DC-6. I had to hand fly an instrument approach into Kingshaven, quarter-mile biz. Ooh, vodka. You never bought the DC-6? I got to say, it's I love it. For some reason, the Constellation never really. Well, okay, I'm gonna get in a lot of trouble here. The version of the Constellation that A2A model, the C69, like the short nose Connie. It just never really lit my fire. You know, the Super Connie, love it, absolutely love the Super Constellation, but you know, just the kind of original Constellation never really did anything for me, so I never got into the A2A Constellation, but I love the Douglas transports, DC-4, DC-6, DC-7, you know, so something about the way this airplane looks, just, I don't know, what a prop liner is supposed to look like in my opinion. But you should get it. It's very well done. I think. So. Oh, Zippy, they're doing the 7.5 and the 7.6, doing both. Awesome. Yeah, I agree, man. The 7.6 is just kind of your classic wide body. I remember the first time I flew on one was, well, maybe not the first one, but the first one I remember was Hawaiian Airlines out to the islands, and yeah, I just remember that being, you know, it's like, wow, that's a big airplane compared to the Southwest 7.3s that I used to flying on, you know. Yeah, but the 7.5's coming first. Got it. Yeah, Bucky, you should pick it up. Of course, I don't know what their plans are with 24. Maybe pick it up when it comes to 24. But yeah, Steven, I get it. The Connie needs long nose and tip tanks. Exactly, man. With long nose and tip tanks, no better looking airplane, but it does need the long nose, I think. Yeah, you really should. It works fine. It works great for me. I've blown a couple motors up, and you know, I've definitely abused this thing, but it seems solid now. So, virtual flight diaries. Love the DC-6, the sim. I flew it into Ambler, Alaska. It's a gravel strip. Oh man, maybe we need to go into a gravel strip in this thing. Pretty cool. V1, welcome in. Just where all the cool people hang out on New Year's Eve. Welcome, man. It sure is. Yeah, we're getting a little bit of last minute DC-6 streaming in. Way up to Anchorage. I did not try the Beach 18 mod, although I did. I was inspired to just fly the stock Beach 18. You know, watching your streams in it, and I got to say, it's pretty good stock. I mean, I imagine it'll be even better, you know, with the mod. But that's one of the it's a fantastic flyer, right? And I think it's great. Flies like I would imagine Beach 18 flies. So yeah, but the mod is for 2020, I think, and I only have it for 24. So I don't know if I need to buy the airplane for 2020. Or if the mod needs to be updated. I don't know. Trying to blow up the engines is like half the fun. Yeah, dude. We're trying not to blow the engines up. Because if we toast a motor right now, we're done. You know, actual IMC in Alaska, we're done. If we blow an engine up, we die. Oh, you haven't tried the mod either. Okay, well, fine. I'll be the guinea pig and I'll let you know how it is. Okay, we're coming up on 13th thou. We're going to level off with the gyro pilot here. Yeah, this is a little bit more than I bargained for with the IMC. I thought we were just going to, you know, take off IMC and then be in the clear out to Anchorage, but. There's 13,000. And we'll go to cruise mode. Flight engineer on it.
Set cruise power, please.
Hey, look at that. There's blue sky. props way back. So this is the other thing with the radials, is the most efficient cruise is to get the props turning as slow as possible, because in these big reciprocating engines, you actually lose a lot of efficiency to the rotational friction in the engine. So if you can get the RPMs back even down to 2,000 RPM, you have less friction loss in the engine, and so it's more efficient. The other piece of that being, propellers get more efficient the slower you turn them. If you turn
Cruise checks are complete.
If you turn a propeller, you know, to the point where the tips are supersonic, you're losing a lot of efficiency. So you can see when we went to cruise, the manifold pressure is 35 inches. We pulled the props all the way back to 2200. So that's the most efficient way to cruise these, and that applies to a general aviation radial or engine as well, like a flat engine, if you can get it to run smoothly at those low RPMs, which is not always a given. Okay, so we're out of actual IMC, so we can kill the anti-ice, get the airfoil master and the prop de-ice off, keep the cabin heat on. Oh, look at that, we got a little bit of ice on the nose. Right there. Yeah, that's cool. Gus, yeah, I know that's why I have 4, but I'd still be, you know, trying to run a engine failure drill on one engine, don't turn into the bad one, would be cooked, man. Stunning views in here. Yeah, just the outside or the windshield, really. Yeah, it does. IMC in an old bird like this really makes you appreciate breaking outs. You know. Oh, thank God. All right, so we got 170 miles to go. Gus, I don't know what you're talking about, man. Charles Lindbergh proved that low RPM cruise in a reciprocating engine will increase your range exponentially. Sim volume down a bit. Yep, no problem. There we go. Sim volume down. Let me know how that is. Max Racing, do a power on stall. I thought we might when we were climbing out. I was busy there for a second. V1, we do need to multi-crew this, man. I would be a flight engineer on the DC-6 all day. You fly, we throw Zippy in the right seat, I'll be the flight engineer. Zippy, you'll be in the back with the chickens. My track record with prop planes is not very good. Right. So the thing is, once you get up in cruise, the workload is not that bad, right? It's just the takeoff, the run up, as you saw, was quite, you know, arduous. Getting through all that, but once you get them off the ground and airborne, you know, then things aren't so bad. But yeah, it's definitely different than the way we're used to doing things today. That's for sure. Low RPM in cruise is legit. Anyone who thinks otherwise is either Canadian or Brazilian. Yeah. So I mean, you know, even if you look at turboprops, like now, I don't know. I'm rapidly getting into an area where I don't know what I'm talking about, but the turboprops that I've flown, namely the T6, the propeller was always turning at like 2,000 RPM. So it's in a turboprop where they can de-link the propeller and the gas generator. The engineers choose to spin the prop pretty slow. You know, it's only modern recips without gearboxes because you introduce a lot of mechanical complexity with a gearbox where you're turning the prop 2,800 RPM. So, okay, so when we start our descent, we need to descend 13,000 feet. And so the rule of thumb is to take the amount of thousands of feet that you need to descend, multiply that by 5, and then add 15 nautical miles to that. So that's going to be 80 nautical miles out. We need to begin our descent. We're at 160, so we've got some time. And then the other thing we have to do is we need to figure out our approach into Anchorage. Dismiss. So we'll go airports, PANC, Ted Stevens, open the charts. Not going to do a star because that's for jet weenies. We're going to just fly in here and land on the ILS runway 7 right, which is going to be 111.7 and 074. So, oh, bad time for the gremlins. Catch up on the Smasher in a bit. See ya. Happy New Year's, everyone. Thanks for stopping by. Engine number 4 in the TBM 850. How are you on engine number 4? Alright, there we go. 111.3. That's in. And then here we need to push to go to Vorlauk, and then dial in 111.3 here, and then put that in the active, and then push to go back to the comm radio. All right, there we go. So we are set up, and then 074 in here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. The instruments are set. Oh, terrible at starting them. Yep, the old hot start will get you every time, Zippy. Stephen Ainer, I actually don't know anything about Ted Stevens. I just know he's got an airport named after him. There we go. Now look at this, chat. This is what I love about Rear World Runner. We were stuck in the clouds, and I was tossing around the idea of, hey, do we just, bump the weather out of here? But now we're starting to break out, and you got the waves, which look really cold. I don't want to go swimming in that. But we've got the mountains out here. I forget who said it earlier in the chat, but they're absolutely right. Flying these old airplanes makes you really, really appreciate a breakout. Wild dude, he died in a bush plane accident. Wow. That's fitting for an Alaska senator, I guess. Let's take a look at our engines here and just make sure that we're not going to blow anything up. So, the BMEP gauges are looking good. That's kind of a direct measure of power. Manifold pressure, that's looking good across all the engines. Fuel flow is about 600 pounds an hour. That's what we flight plan for. RPMs are set, flaps are up. That's good. Cylinder heads are still, they're all right in the green. That's good. Water pressure we don't need. Fuel pressure is looking good. Oil pressure is good. That's always good to see. Free air temp is cold, but we're in the clear, so that's fine. Oil temps are all looking nice. Carb air is off the scale cold. That's fine because we're way up here and we're outside of any visible moisture, so we can actually turn the carb heats off, which it looks like our flight engineer did already. So we're good to go. Let's see if our tablet agrees. Yeah, hey, look at that. All green. Looks like we almost know what we're doing. Virtual flight diaries. Imagine this airplane with a turboprop conversion. They did it. They did a turboprop conversion, I think. Or no, I'm thinking. Let me look. I know they did. They put inline engines on one. The Brits did. They put Merlins on one. No, it does not look like they ever did a turboprop DC-6. That would be something, though. Gus, can you see the film crew from Discovery filming Deadliest Catch? Oh, really? Excellent scenery for Barrow. So, I was going to... look at that. Screenshot. Not so screenshot. I was going to fly from Juneau for this, but one, it was a little bit long of a flight, and two, the Juneau scenery requires, it has a whole bunch of other dependencies, right? So you download the Juneau scenery and that says, oh, but you also need all of these other sceneries done by the same author for it to work. And I don't have time to download 7 different scenery packs and install them when I just want, if I just want Juneau, I just want Juneau. So, so that's why I didn't do Juneau. We've got Anchorage scenery, so we'll see how that is when we get into Anchorage. So yeah, but yeah, Barrow we'll definitely throw in there. Is that big enough for a DC-6, or would that be a DC-3 stream? Marco, the turboprop conversion, I think it was for the DC-3. Okay, so they definitely, Basler Industries definitely did a DC-3 conversion. It's a conversion of the Super DC-3 that actually has a 3-foot stretch in the forward fuselage. And I've got some buddies who have a lot of flight time in those. But yeah, I don't know if they did a DC-6 or not. Steven, it's not the Aerosoft Anchorage, I don't think. It's just a free one off the TO. Oh, okay. It takes 7.3s and 320s, so yeah, DC-6 should be no problem. Okay, awesome. Yeah, post a link in the Discord and I'll download it for the next one. So, I think, oh, there we go. Scenery is starting to load in. This is very mid scenery or terrain for what is a really beautiful place in real life. Need to check out 2024 and see if it's any better up north. Max Race, does the airplane have a yaw damper? Nope, it's the feet. Your feet are the yaw damper. So, I think we are wagging our tail just a little bit. I think there's some light chop. A little bit of light chop at 130. Keep in mind too, this airplane does not have an autopilot, so this is a gyro pilot, and so it uses a gyro to provide inputs to the controls, but it's not going to be quite as precise as an autopilot would be. So, if the gyro, if it's getting bounced around, then the airplane's going to move around a little bit more than an airplane with an autopilot would. Have to get the Alaska mesh download. Okay, is that also on the TO? Let's take a look at our distance. So a big part of flying these older airplanes is, okay, so we got a little bit left to go, about 40 miles. So a big part of flying these older airplanes is the descent planning piece, in that, unlike a jet, you can't just rip the throttles to idle and go descending down on a idle path descent. So what you do is you start down and, oh, okay, pay war on the marketplace. Okay. Is it worth it? I'm usually hesitant to do pay wars like meshes and stuff like that, but if it's worth it, I'll pick it up. So you can't just chop the throttles to idle in an airplane like this, because the engines are made of so many different types of metal. The cylinders being a good example, being made of steel and aluminum. That if you pull the throttles to idle, all the different parts will cool rapidly at different temperatures, and you can actually seize parts of the engine together. And you don't want to do that, obviously. So it's a very, very slow, smooth, controlled power reduction as you descend to land. And what you want to do is, what you want to avoid is, so in the jets you have the throttles at idle, and then as soon as you start configuring drag, you push the power way up from idle to the approach setting. Whereas in these old piston engines, the goal is to bring the power back, but keep it as high as possible, descend, and then increase drag such that you can then keep the engines powered up. But you don't want to be doing these big power swings with the engines, because it's just not good for them. If you've ever looked inside a radial engine, you've got, on the R2800, which these are, you've got 2 rows of, I believe, 9 cylinders each that are connected, and then those feed into which have a planetary gear to keep the thing running, the crankshaft, and then the crankshaft goes into a gearbox that spins the propeller at reduced RPM, and so there's just a lot of mechanical stuff going on in these engines that you want to keep. If you keep them in a steady state, then you want to do that. The other thing that's very important is to keep the engine driving the propeller. So you basically don't want to windmill the engine, because there's so many gearboxes or gears in these engines that if the propeller starts driving the engines, you effectively take the lash out of all of those gears in the engine, and then when the engine loads back up, they lash the other way, and it's just not good for the engine to have those gears constantly doing that. So that's the other thing we want to be careful of, is we want to keep the manifold pressure up and the RPM low, so that the propellers are always loaded. You can get the mesh from the Orbix app. Don't use Marketplace for obvious reasons. Okay. Well, so you don't use Marketplace because of like updates for airplanes and stuff, right? But does scenery get updated that much? Or is it more just to support the original developer? It improves Alaska greatly. They also have one for South America. Okay. Okay, cool. Oh, $7. Okay. Rule 1, don't buy from the marketplace. Fair enough. Yeah, okay, we'll pick up the $7 Alaska mesh before we do another Alaska stream. That looks okay, but no sense giving Microsoft more money and leaving the control of updates to them. Totally agree. The mesh is great, though. Okay. All right. The other thing I might do before I do that is I may see if I can get the PMDG working in 24. Because if I can get it working in 24, then I may just put all the money and time upgrading into the new sim. We'll see. Chat, can I share with you my pipe dream that will never come true? A study level B-36. Imagine, if you will, this workload, except instead of 4 R2800s, you have 6 R4360s and 4 early generation jets. That thing would be a beast. Steven Hader, yeah, 4 J47s out on the wingtips, just the B-47 wingtip pods. I actually was talking to a curator at the Air Force Museum, and he was telling me that if you look at the pods on the B-36, they are identical to the B-47 wingtip pods, to include the space where they put the outrigger landing gear on the B-47. And so he said that basically, you know, since it was a defense contractor, national defense thing, they basically told Boeing, hey, give Convair the design for the wingtip pods, or the engine pods for the B-47, and that's how they put the pods on the B-36. Is no way Milviz is working on one. If they are, I will buy it the first day. I've shown my fiance a picture of the B-36 engineer station, and it gave her anxiety. Is Milviz even around still? I haven't heard of anything from them in a long time. Max Racing, how did the F-18 handle at low speeds? I heard it was made to be unstable for better maneuvering. It was a beautiful handling airplane at low speeds. Are you talking, you're probably talking BFM, right? Not like landing on the ship. Because you could have the airplane down at 136 knots, which was your max gross approach speed, and it flew great. In BFM, I mean, I've had the airplane tail sliding. Granted, tail slides were not allowed, but I've done it, and unintentionally, and the airplane is fully controllable. It takes a lot to depart the Super Hornet. The Legacy Hornet is a little bit easier to depart from controlled flight, but even it has gotten better over the years. No, the Hornet handled low speeds just beautifully. It's 4-channel fully augmented fly-by-wire, right? So while the airframe is unstable, the flight controls completely take care of it. So you know, I've been at 48 knots, put in a full deflection rudder and aileron input, and the airplane just rolls like you command it to. So yeah, the F-18 was a delight at low speeds. The only complaint that I or any other F-18 pilot will ever have about that airplane is that it's underpowered. That's really the only thing you can complain about with regards to the F-18 and its handling. All right, 85 nautical miles. That looks good. So we're going to keep cruise power in, and we're going to start down at 1,000 feet a minute. So we're going to turn the altitude hold off. We're going to turn the seatbelts on. Oh, already on. Thanks for flying full flap airways, where we don't let anyone stand up. And starting down to 1,000 feet a minute. There we go. Down we go. And you'll notice that we're keeping cruise power in, and we're just going to allow the airplane to accelerate. Max Racing, do you think naval flight officer is a good pathway? It depends. If you want to be a pilot, no. If you want to join the military and serve in an aviation capacity, then absolutely. So if you approach the job with the understanding that a naval flight officer is not a pilot, then naval flight officer can be a very rewarding career. If you want to become a naval flight officer in the pursuit of a pilot job, then I think it could be very frustrating because your flight time will not count towards airline flight time. Your training will not really be geared towards flying the airplane as much as it will be tactics and the mission systems and things like that, which can be very fulfilling in and of itself. So, a lot of my NFO friends, they love the tactical mission planning part of their job, but the day-to-day of operating airplanes is not really in their wheelhouse. So, and especially in the Navy, for example, the two-seat F-18s, they don't even have controls on the back. The Air Force, like the Strike Eagle, they typically have flight controls in the back seat. But even then, I think it's a mindset thing. If you want to join the military, learn how to fight air combat, then naval flight officer can be a great road. If you want to be a pilot, then I would absolutely not be a naval flight officer as a backup plan. Vodka, Vertavia, got it. The Alpha Sim reincarnated. The only problem with that is I don't think it'll be, well, I know it will not be study level like this, right? Like you won't be able to blow up an engine in the Vertavia B-36, but I'll keep an open mind because they've done some good work in the past. Gus, what would you choose today, fighters or heavies from the air? Fighters, 100%. I mean, I love all kinds of flying. I love the transport flying, but fighter pilot was a great way to spend my 20s. So I wouldn't do anything different. Okay, now we're going to go to descent mode on the flight engineer panel here. And so they're going to nice and smoothly give us a power reduction to 26 inches. And we're going to level off at 3,000 feet and carry that into the airfield. Water, you got your sea bag packed. Nice work. Growler would be cool too. Heavy transport sees more than world fighter pilots get more chicks. Yeah, I mean the fighters were definitely a point A to point A airplane. I don't know. I mean, something about the way you get to fly fighters, right? I mean, flying an airplane that has no airframe limitations, like the F-18. I mean, it was a 7.5G limited airframe, but the flight control computer took care of that for you. You couldn't get to max airspeed of 2.05 Mach if you wanted to. There was no stall speed. That's just a freedom that I don't know that you could get anywhere else. So yeah, I wouldn't do anything different. It's 2025 and I'm still waiting on the Synoptic Airbus 220. Yeah, you and me both. I'm not holding my breath, although I will say that their artwork that they were showing off looks pretty good. So, I really hope they can pull it off. Stephen Henry, your old man did heavy transport in the Air Force. He's been to all 7 continents. So that is true, right? I mean, you won't get to see all 7 continents flying a fighter. So that is very, very true. see. I don't know if I want to get all the way down to 3,000 feet, because we might still have some mountains to cross here. We're gonna ease the descent rate down here to 500 feet a minute. There we go. Because if we've got, let's see, how long do we have to go here? This says 14 minutes. We have, yeah, 500 feet per minute is probably going to work better for us. I think Take Command will release the 221st on X-Plane. Maybe. If, man, if they do, because Take Command did the TBM, right? Which I think I remember being a pretty good model. Captain Kirk's going to be playing Microsoft Starship Simulator by the time Synoptic drops the 220. I mean, I can't give those guys flack because I have no idea what it takes to develop an airplane. You know, I asked on Discord the other day, I said, hey, who's willing to help me mod the T6? And a couple of folks, you know, said, hey, we will. And then it occurred to me that I don't know the first thing about, like, I don't even know what file controls the flight model in a flight sim add-on, so got some learning to do. Same developer as the Challenger, okay. I tell you what, if it's simulated right, I'll pick it up and we'll do some 220 streams in X-Plane. Man, this is the weather I was hoping for when we left Kodiak. This is great. Although it still looks cold down there. TBM and the Challenger, awesome. Yeah, my only thing is, wasn't the Challenger like $120 or something like that? I hope the E220 isn't that expensive. What, Vodka, you don't have X-Plane 12? Max Racing, the A220 PTU is so loud, even though it's adopted, I consider it part of the Airbus family. You know, that was one of the bummers about flying it, is you fly in the back of it and it just sounds cheap, you know, because the PTU comes on, it's got that gurgling kind of sound and all the plastic trim inside. I mean, I don't know. Say what you will about the Guppy, but it's built like a tank. Okay, never bought it. Went from X-Plane 11 to Flight Sim, never got 12 because I didn't feel the need for anything. That's fair. I mean, I guess I just bought 12, shoot, a month ago. Really just to support Laminar, if anything else. But there's some good airplanes. The Zebo's in there, the 7.4 from Felis that's going to be part of this you know, legacy historic airliners stream series. The 7.4 would be pretty cool. I don't know. I've got room for both sims. I just really don't like the concept of streaming all the sim contents, and so, you know, I really wanted to support a sim that didn't do that, but you know, at the same time, it's hard for them to compete with this. Look at this view. That's just something from yesterday, right? I mean, you look out your window and just see this giant radial engine and this thick straight wing out the front. Or out the side, rather. Got the prop discs. Someone needs to do just a beat to hell freighter version of this, like this Northern Air Cargo, but just with the paint chipping off. I've found it difficult to find a really beat up DC-6 to fly. Okay, so the goal here is to level off at 3,000 feet, about 25 miles from the airport is the goal. And then we're going to go and reduce engine power and basically let the engines cool down, decelerating level on the way into the field. Max Racing, is there ice protection on this airplane? There is. It's right here, and it's run by fuel. So the cabin heat, pardon me, the cabin heater is right here, and that's running right now, so you can see the cabin heater is on. The airfoil heat, you turn the master switch on, which pressurizes the fuel pumps, and then you can turn on, you want dual ignition down here, and then you basically, yeah, you've turned on the heat, and these are the igniters for it, and then the carb de-ice and the prop de-ice. So if you want to de-ice your props, you just turn the prop de-icer on. So, and then carburetors as well. So it's all right here. But it runs off of, it's not like a jet where you have bleed air to run it. So it's actually avgas. So it's a gasoline powered heat system that heats the leading edges. 1,000 to go. T-28 that I fly actually has a heater that's powered by avgas, and nobody turns it on because they're afraid it'll blow the airplane up. Bygone days where every seat was first class size and meals were served on fine china. That is so true, man. And it wasn't that long ago. I mean, my grandmother, you know, she was, I mean, I guess she'd be 102 now, but, you know, she was alive during those days, you know, where you bought a ticket and you ended up on a Constellation, a first class chair with a 4-course meal. So, Janistraw, thank you. That was the word I was looking for, Gus. Kelpie, welcome, dude. The current route, we're going from Kodiak, Alaska to Anchorage. Beat up with a huge bald eagle and American flag on the nose. Spot on, man. All right, so look at that. We wanted to get down 25 miles from Anchorage, and we're at 29 with 500 feet to go. So we're spot on our descent profile. Okay, we're gonna slow the rate of descent with the wheel, the gyro pilot wheel. Okay, now we need to find our approach speed. So what do we weigh? We weigh, gross weight is 89,000 pounds. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. A Super Hornet almost weighs as much as this. 89,000 pounds, we'll round that to 90. V-app full flap is 137. All right, so 137 knots is going to be our approach speed. There's 3,000 feet. Level off, and we'll get the in-range checks done.
Turbine. Normal. Fuel booster pumps. on low. Fuel tank selectors. Mains on, crossfeed off. Hydraulic bypass valve. Down. No smoking signs. On. In-range checks complete.
Okay. Alright, so we're in range and we're looking to slowly bleed the speed off now. And basically looking for 170 knots to start putting the flaps out. Okay, anchorage is over there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to gyropilot mode. We're going to swap the CDI to localizer. Alright, so it's Vorloc. We've got 111.3 in twice. So now our CDI should be working. And we will take a little bit of a turn here. We'll turn about, I don't know, 10 degrees off to the left. Maybe 15. Using the gyropilot knob, and we'll center it up. We'll just keep pressing inbound. I think that is actually anchorage, so we need to turn. We need to kind of fly a base entry here. So we're going to put 070 on the wingtip here. Yeah, make sure you stow your tray tables, guys. There we go. Okay. Zippy, I think you mentioned before, what is the difference between wet and dry power? So dry power is exactly what it sounds like. It's no water injection. It's just the straight engines, under with avgas and all that. The wet power, they actually inject water into, I believe, the air charge to make the air charge more dense to allow you to put more fuel in and reduce the detonation margins. Am I saying that correctly? Somebody smarter than me can say it. Gus, fact check me on that. But you're basically taking water and pumping it into the engines to stave off detonation. Alright, so here's the airport we're going to. There's the island I want to fly around. That's a pretty good look at the weathered wing. So yeah, it's effectively you're adding water to the air-fuel mixture in the engine to reduce the chances of detonation. Is what you're doing. So, all right, we're going to deactivate the flight engineer dude and pull the power back to about here. About 26 inches is where we want it. Okay. And we can start putting out some flaps once we get, how far out are we? We're a little far out still. We'll go 100 BMEP. Gus, you don't know anything about the engine. Sorry, no worries. Yeah, just Zippy, what you're looking for, just look on the internet for anti-detonation injection, ADI, on these engines. But the short version is you're taking physical water, injecting it somewhere into the engines in order to stop them from detonating, from having too much manifold pressure. That's as much as I know. All right, let's put a little bit of flap out. Okay, then we can put flap 15 down at 160. Glide slope's coming alive. So we can actually descend down to 2,000 feet. Start turning a little bit to intercept the glide. Okay, so we want to turn to about a 040 heading or so. Okay, so 040. That'll do. Center it up. And I'm going to turn the gyro pilot off and we'll hand fly. Okay. So, hand flying in. And the runway is right out here. So we'll do this. I'm not going to shoot a full up ILS approach. Beautiful weather, so. Go, but you can see the big thing that you're trying to do is keep the engines at a steady power setting and use increases in drag to slow the airplane for landing. So I'm going to try and reset about 26 inches here on the manifold pressure. And the next flap setting is 20, and that can go down at 150 knots. Now, Zippy, you coming in Giant? Oh, shoot. Oh no. What's CTAF, freak chat? Get me the CTAF. Chat, what's the CTAF, freak? $118.3. Oh boy. We're gonna get kicked off again, chat. 118.3. Zippy, why didn't you tell me this like 30 miles ago, dude? Anchorage traffic, Northern Air Cargo 1422 is turning along final for 7 right, Anchorage.
And Anchorage traffic time, 1167 heavy. Right downwind, we'll make an extended right downwind for 7 right, Anchorage.
Alright. Here comes the gear. We're hiring Snoop Dogg, chat. We're gonna have to get down. Sorry about that, Giant. We just had a late switch to Unicom.
No worries, we had a visual on you. Thanks, Ben.
We'll buy at the bar.
We'll take you up on.
Alright. Flaps can come down, and we'll do a before landing check.
Setting flaps 20.
Alright. Pulling the power back. And we're looking for 120 knots, we said, right?
Auto reach.
Alright, they're cool. They're coming in behind us.
Gear up and down, please. Gear up and down.
Alright. Gears
Gear down and locked. 3 rings. Props.
Okay.
200 RPM.
Luckily, there's no shortage of drag in these old prop liners.
RPM set. Cow flaps. +3 degrees.
Get the
Cow
power
flaps set.
coming in.
ADI.
20.
ADI off. ADI is off. Landing lights. Speed good. Extending lights. Lights extended and on. Copy.
Little
Cold. Set cold.
little hot coming in.
Before landing checks complete.
About 10 knots fast. Okay. Man. Okay. Now we can pull the power out now that we're committed
Anchorage
to
traffic
landing.
giant, 1167 heavy, right base, 7 right, Anchorage.
Close the power out. There we go. 116 feet a minute. Get the props in reverse. We'll get off the runway here so the Giant doesn't have to go around for us. Get the props out of reverse. Anchorage traffic, Northern Air Cargo 1422 is clear of 7 right, crossing 7 left, Anchorage. Okay, we're down. And we'll do an after landing check. Get the cow flaps open. There we go. Anchorage traffic, Northern Air Cargo 1422, clear of 7 left and 7 right, taxiing the park.
After landing checks complete.
Okay. Flaps are coming up. And we'll taxi in. Well, that got busy there at the end, chat. And then again, you want 1,000 RPM on these engines. Not to drag a brake. I mean, you don't want to be dragging brakes in these airplanes, but if there's not a reason to not be at 1,000 RPM, that's where you should be. There we go. Let's see. Where's Giant at? Let's see him. Okay, so we got the cow flaps open, taxiing in. And we're looking good. We can go, okay, we already got them to auto lean. Anchorage traffic, Northern Air Cargo 1422 is crossing runway 33, taxi to park, Anchorage. Okay, we'll see how we're doing on the engine condition. Still looking good. Looks like we know what we're doing. Okay, so we'll bump the inboard 2 up a little bit just to get
Anchorage traffic giant, 1167, 12.5 mile final, 7 right, Anchorage.
Yeah, 12.5 mile final. Alright, so we will disconnect from the network. There we go. And the workload was so busy I forgot to start the recorder, so we don't get to see it on replay. Oh man. Okay, chat, what we need to do is we need to assign a virtual co-pilot on every stream, and the virtual co-pilot is responsible for IVEO premium radio calls, starting the recorder, and geez. I clearly cannot be trusted to do this by myself. We had GSO, it was 116 feet a minute. This Anchorage scenery doesn't look bad. We're going to go park over by this DC-3. I think that's actually the Northern Air Cargo ramp over here. Well, Zippy, we would just have to reschedule the stream so it works for you. Turn in here. Giant is coming in. Oh, let's see. I don't see him. Oh, I disconnected. That's why. Wait, Zippy, are you Giant? I know you were doing some Giant streaming. Just add to the entrance checks. Alright. Here we go. That'll do. Alright, so now we need to scavenge all the engines, so we're going to run them up to different engines have different settings, but I'm just going to guess about 1500 RPM. Maybe 16. There we go. Alright, so 1600 RPM, and we're just going to let them stabilize. In the meantime, we can turn off the heater, turn off the windshield heat. All those are off. That's all good. Okay, and what we're doing here is we're just scavenging, getting the oil pump to pump as much oil out of the engine as possible and back in the oil tank. Avionics off. Alright, that should be good enough. Then we'll pull number one back to 1000 RPM. We would do a mag grounding check, but I don't know that that's simulated, and it will kill the mixture. And then we're going to bring 4 back to 1000 RPM and kill that mixture. And we're going to turn the landing lights off. So we'll go off and retract them. Yeah, we can do the DC-3. Alright, here we go. Last 2 engines. Going down to 1000. And kill them. There we go. And we'll have the FE do the parking check.
Parking brake is set. Cut engines.
Okay, that's done. Lock the controls. All right, then we'll turn the battery off. And get the mags. He's getting the mags off. Man, the windows iced over quick, didn't they? Alrighty, y'all.
Parking checks complete, airplane secured.
There we go. Airplane is secure. Well, thanks for joining me, chat. Hopefully you enjoyed that old school look at you know, how airline pilots used to do things back in the day, and some indeed are still doing it up in Alaska. So that's all I got for you this time. Thanks for joining. We'll just play the music again and take a look at some of these views around Alaska. But that's it for me. I got to go on a trip for the next couple of days, and then after that we'll maybe jump into the level up. Updated 7.3, get water down to San Diego and see how Level Up did on their 737 update. So Alrighty, guys. If you like this, drop a comment, like, share, subscribe, and hopefully we can do more of the old school stuff because this is kind of a passion project for me. So, yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Take care, y'all. Thanks for joining.